What's going on, YouTube? My name is Alfred Mills, aka Saucy Painter. I appreciate all the new subscribers and all my old subscribers. It's been quite a while since I've done any video on YouTube. You know, life's been lifing, you know, collision work. Normally I'm in a production shop, so it's kind of harder to slow down and make make longer form content. So I always make like short form content like on Instagram and Facebook. So you can always check those out if you want like more of daily updates. But I will be getting back into the groove of making YouTube videos. I'm gonna be starting with this C6 Corvette. So this C6 Corvette is a friend of mine, basically my best friend, and I'm kind of starting to do like my own side work / freelance work, so I really don't have like all the proper tools, stands, and whatnot. So I'm gonna kind of muddle through this, but we're gonna get the job done, and this is kind of gonna be showing you how to kind of do a paint job kind of with the bare minimum. So I appreciate you for joining me, and let's do it. So once again, like I said, this is just my friend's Corvette. This is his C6. We're just gonna go black again, so we won't have to spend a lot of time on it. We just wanna get rid of some of the chips. The fenders are already primed. Somebody else primed them. We can just sand them down and see what they look like. We'll have to prime the hood because there are a couple chips on the hood itself. And of course the bumper. I think the bumper was used and he got it somewhere like out the junkyard or whatnot. So we'll continue to pull some things off as well because we're gonna try to pull those side view mirrors off. Maybe pull off these little handle covers as well. Pop out these quarter lights and rockers, splash guards, you know, the little simple stuff. Tail lights. So we're gonna start with just priming the parts that are needed. For instance, the bumper and the hood, like I said. We'll sand this down. Unfortunately, all I have is 600 because today is Sunday until I get some 320 or 400 tomorrow. You kind of want a more of an aggressive grit, like 320 to 400 for when you prime, but since we don't have that, you just have to make work what you got. So we're gonna use 600. We'll sand the hood and the bumper with 600 and we'll throw some primer on. And then we'll also check these fenders to make sure there's no rock chips or anything like that. They're already primed, but you know how that goes. No telling what's underneath that. So let's just run some 600 over to everything and come back from there. Went ahead and put off the fenders and the front bumper. Just give me a little bit more space to work. I'll probably end up priming, because I have a little spot on the fender I'm gonna prime. I'll probably prime it actually on the car unless my stands show up in time. But yeah, I'm just gonna continue to sand the rest with 600 to make it smooth. I do have some 320, but it's like sticky back. So I folded it in half and I'm just hitting it with any like really rough spots, just trying to feather it out just to make it look a little bit better. I just want to make sure the outside looks as nice as possible, but we're still going to take care of some of this just to make it look that much better. All right, so we're just going to sand it with 600. Like I said, it's not heavily rock chipped or damaged or anything, so we're just going to be sanding the orange peel out of it. This is the flat uniformness that we're looking for, and then we're just trying to get rid of that orange peel. So that's how you can tell what you've sanded and when you're done and when you're not. All right, so I pretty much got everything all sanded and bagged for primer. Like I said, I'm just gonna prime the hood. I got everything else sanded. I got one of the quarter panels off. This quarter panel, he had a wrap on it, and when he pulled the wrap, it pulled off all the clear coat. So I'm gonna go ahead and prime that because I had a bunch of cut throughs. Fix some old body work right here on this bumper and his rear bumper as well. He had like some cutouts that I fixed a while ago. I told him he just should get a new bumper because, you know, got big holes that I had to fill with fiberglass and then Bondo and then reglaze. But working with what I got, so you know how that goes. So I went ahead and got some 3M purple, some 400, and I just went ahead and hit everything with 400. Went ahead and sanded the hood. I did the other quarter panels, the fenders, obviously the bumpers, side view mirrors, and the front bumpers and everything else. So I'll go ahead and blow everything off. And then once I blow everything off, I'll be able to give it a final once over just to make sure there's no rock chips or anything like that. Because I also did buy some USC combi. So, you know, that'll help. The little spot putty will help with any nicks that the primer did not fill in or anything that I did miss. So I'll go ahead again, do a quick once over. I'll check all the edges, make sure there's no rock chips, make sure there's not anything major, and yeah, I should be pretty much ready to go. Everything's finished in 400, and we're spraying this in solvent. So 400 grit is good enough to spray waterborne base coat on, and since we're doing solvent, you can stop at 320, but I went to 400 just to make sure it's extra smooth. So yeah, here tomorrow we'll be able to hopefully. I haven't painted in a while, so I'm probably gonna start with the flatter pieces, not the bumper. I'll probably paint maybe that quarter panel first, just because it's flat. Maybe the fenders too, but we'll see if I can find a paint stand, because we really don't have a whole bunch of paint stands to do it the proper way. So I gotta kind of finesse it and just make it work. But yeah, so tomorrow is spray day, pretty much, so we're gonna make it happen. What's up, guys? We're back. It's been a few days. Yesterday I went ahead and painted the parts. I went ahead and knocked out the fenders, as you see, and I also did the quarter panels, the other ones right there. We got a few specks of trash in it, something like that, but nothing that is too bad. Let's see, a little bit like right there, but everything can be wet sand and polish. So we're looking all good in the neighborhood. So today, all right, so today we're knocking out the Corvette itself, just the hood. We got both doors and the rear trunk lid, basically, and the fuel door. Lastly, all I have to do after this is just the bumpers and the side view mirrors, which I can pretty much knock out fairly quickly. I primed just the major areas where there was rock chips. Fenders were already primed, so I just went ahead and primed the hood, finished it with 400 grit. You can finish it with 320 if you're working with solvents, which I am working with solvents. I think we have a Nason base coat, and the code is WA834A, I think, which is just a black metallic. So I'll go ahead and show you kind of how to get that decent finish of what I got on the other parts. I'll show you how to do that today here. So I'll be using the Lumaiii 3 Exodus, both of them. This is the 1.5 black cap for clear, and then the 1.3 OP silver for base. For clear coat, we'll be using this KMK, their 2705 Ultra High Silence 2K. It's a 2-to-1. 2-to-1 clears tend to be my favorite. We'll be using, whoa, don't fall on me. We'll be using their 4625, their slow hardener. Give us enough time for that clear coat to flow out. All right, to paint a vehicle, you pretty much just sand whatever you need to sand. If you don't like something, if it's too low, you feather it out and you can prime it. If it's too high, you block it. You can take some combi, spot putty, and fill in all the little pinholes or rock chips if that's easier for you. We'll be using this KMK, their normal degreaser, 6005 for wipe down. And then after I do that normal degreaser wipe down, I'll go ahead and use these, the Devilbiss. These are some wipeouts. They're like alcohol based. Really nice product. It really helps with white panels to make sure there's no smudges or anything. But since this is black, we really don't have to worry about it. We just want to make sure there's no fish eyes or anything like that. So again, we'll start with this KMK degreaser first, finish off with the wipeouts, and then we'll be ready for paint. Whenever I'm doing this wiping process, I always like to get one rag super wet. I like to do one rag super wet and one rag completely dry. So we'll do a wipe on, wipe off process. So we'll wipe on and we'll immediately wipe off. just like that. Pretty much got that wiped down with degreaser. We'll use, like I said, these Devilbiss wipeouts. They have, they're alcohol based and they're like anti-static wipes. And so I like using these as like the final prep. If you use these over like, let's say a black blend panel, sometimes it'll leave like a gray haze over it. But I painted over that and I've even cleared it, a panel, even though it's like, it looks kind of gray or it has like a film on it, and everything comes out fine. It just seems like these leave like I said, I wouldn't say residue, but it's just, like I said, it's just almost like a real thin gray film, but it's not really something that you need to worry about, if that makes any sense. Like I said, I've used these on black blend panels, and then like you said, you can see where you wiped it, but you can still clear right over it, absolutely no problem. So we'll take these wipes. I got 3 since I'm doing such a big one, but normally you only need 1 per panel, or 1 for like 2 panels. So we'll just wipe it on, like so. And then let that go ahead and dehydrate by itself. All right, lastly, before I mix up sealer, I'm gonna probably seal the hood and probably spot seal a couple of different areas. Since it's solvent, you won't have to worry about a sealer edge showing, so I can use sealer a little bit more loosely, basically. But before any of that, like I said, I have it wiped down, degreaser, then the anti-static wipe from Devilbiss, the wipeout, and then I'll use my anti-static gun from Lumaiii 3. You just switch it over to on, make sure that it's charged, hook the air to it, and then we'll be able to go. I'll give everything a quick blow. I'll worry about like the crevices, the cracks, especially where that back rear windshield is. It will probably hold a lot of dirt, and then I'll make sure I just blow everything completely off. So hopefully that we'll get a cleaner paint job. I don't know if you can see the booth, but it's not really that great. This booth hasn't been used in 5 years. I did my best to clean it as much as possible, so we'll just go with the flow, you know what I mean? So let's get this blown off. For sealer, I'm using the Chroma Premier Pro. It's a 44470S, and this just is dark gray. So for sealer, I'm using this 1500B. It's a 1.3, it's from Sada. It's their SOLV, which is for like solvent, basically. And I really don't ever change up my air pressure. So solvent is always, for me, 21 to 23. If it was like waterborne, it would be like 24 to 26 PSI, pounds a square inch. Like I said, so solvent, I'll use 21 to 23 for the sealer, 21 to 23 for the base, and then clear coat, I'm always around 28 to 30, just helps to atomize a little bit better, in my opinion. So that's just kind of what I'm going for, and that's just what I'm gonna do. Like I said, I'm gonna seal the whole hood, maybe spot seal the rest. It just depends on how much I have left. I might seal like the doors and just a little part of that top of that deck lid, but just so nothing kind of shows back through, because like I said, I combied or spot putty some rock chips on the door and stuff, so I just want to make sure you can't really see those impressions when I get done with it. So. That's kind of what you want to look like. I do about like a 75, 80%, almost 90% overlap. And you kind of got to just read it as you go. You'll know when you really don't get coverage with that first one, but when you come back with that second overlap, that's when that first line should be covered and you just work your way across the panel. It takes practice, but you'll get it, just practice. And that's kind of what you want that sealer to look like. You want it to be pretty glassy, and that's how you know your base will be glassy. And then that's how you know your clear might be as glassy. But good paint job starts with a good base. So if your sealer's not laid down super glassy, everything else will kind of be orange peely. But best part about sealer is it's like a non-sandy primer, so you can sand on it a little bit. You just don't want to sand on it a whole lot. So let's go ahead and mix up this base coat. All right, once that sealer is laid down, you want to go ahead and double check everything. Make sure you don't have anything like, let's see, can you see it at all? Some little nibs. If you have any nibs, you always can block it with some 800. 800 if it's a solid or a black color, and if it's anything metallic, you want to do 1,000. Since this is going to be black, even though it's metallic, I can still do 800 on a piece, on a block. So we'll nib it out as you see. Just get those flat, and as that's flat, we'll tack that off, and then we'll just go around the whole Corvette to make sure there's no more big pieces of dirt. Because when you go to polish that dirt, it'll turn gray because it'll be sticking up farther than the clear coat. So that's why you don't want really any dirt in your sealer. Base, really doesn't matter. You don't want dirt anything except like maybe in the clear coat because you can polish that out. But if it happens, it happens. It's not a big deal. You just want to check over everything. Make sure there's nothing huge. Because if it's huge and you go to sand it or polish it later, it's going to turn the same color as that sealer. So we're just double checking everything and we look like we're good. So we're going to go ahead and tack that spot off. We'll grab our tack rag and then we'll tack this off. Tack it off like that. Probably going to give it a quick blow with our anti-stack gun, and we got our paint mixed up and we should be ready to go. So let's do that. Lumaiii 3 Exodus, this is the 1.3 OP. We'll do 21 PSI and we'll give this 2 coats of base. All right, this is the second coat, so you can just kind of do like a 60 to 70% overlap, and you can kind of see how I do it. And for now, right now, we're just going for coverage. as you see, that coat's a little bit faster. You can kind of, you don't have to keep it as wet. So we're just gonna repeat that on other panels, and after that, we'll check it with our sun gun, and we should be good. All right, I got 2 coats on everything. I'm gonna go ahead and take my scan grip. This is a sun gun, and we'll go ahead around all the edges and panels just to make sure we got everything covered. I like to check normally where I miss the most, which are my edges. And I just double check these edges, make sure they're not gray anymore or white. And if it is, you can just dust a little bit on there, no problem whatsoever. This last coat should still be kind of curing. All right, pretty much all done. Just got to do probably 2 to 3 coats of clear, depending on what it looks like. I'm using that KMK clear, and this is the Lumaiii 3 1.5 Exodus. This is their OP. I'll be shooting at about 30 PSI. I always appreciate it if you made it this far, and I appreciate you if you're a new subscriber or you hung out during my time off. So hopefully I can get back into it, and if not, I hope you forgive me. But yeah, I appreciate you for joining. Till next time.